Nebraska has had a busy bye week. So in today's video, I'm going to go over every single nugget that I've learned over the last couple of days, some key injury updates, breakout players, coaching adjustments, and so much more. So really quick, we have a lot to talk about today's video. Make sure to hit that like button if you're fired up. And hey, if you're new to the channel or if you're a returning viewer, make sure to subscribe. I post Nebraska football content every single day, and I post nuggets that you'll get nowhere else on YouTube. So if you're a diehard Husker fan, make sure to subscribe. You will be thanking yourself that you did. But without further ado, let's get into it, going over some nuggets around Nebraska football in their second bye week. First things first, let's talk about Dylan Raiola. Now, we saw versus UCLA, he had a lower back injury in that fourth quarter. And after that, a lot of people were questioning, will he be ready to go versus USC? Will he be 100%? I can confirm that he will play versus USC. The back injury was not as bad as what we initially feared. Now, will he be 100%? Probably not, but he hasn't been 100% probably since week 3. Again, he's been dealing with a multitude of injuries, whether it was that back injury, ankle injury, shoulder injury. We've seen it all for Dylan Raiola. This offense is not doing a good enough job protecting him, but he will be ready to go versus USC. And Dylan Raiola, these losses have really hit him hard over the last couple weeks. Starting off this bye week, he was pretty pessimistic, really just not the same old Dylan, really wasn't happy with his performance, with the offense performance. But as the week progressed, he really started to get back in the groove and the same old Dylan that we've seen all year long. But, I think that's just a testament to, where this team is right now. They're just not happy with how they're playing. Dylan, most notably, he isn't happy with how he's playing, but he's going to make the adjustments and he's going to work his butt off to get back to that level we know he can play at. So wanted to mention that around Dylan. He will be ready to play. He needs to have a big game versus USC. That is a poor defense we're going up against. We need to put up points, and Dylan needs to be the focal point of that. Also want to mention Tommy Hill. Tommy Hill should play versus USC. It's a really tough situation with him with, of course, that foot injury. That's just a lingering injury. He will not be 100% the rest of the season. It's just not the same old Tommy Hill that we've seen in the past. Again, that's an injury issue. It's nothing else than that. Again, really unfortunate for him, but he will be ready to go versus USC, and he should start. Second thing I want to talk about in terms of the Nuggets, let's talk about Dana Holgorsen. So, of course, it was announced on Tuesday that Dana Holgorsen has been hired by Nebraska to basically be a part of this offensive coaching staff, basically as an analyst, as a consultant. But what does that really mean? Well, we've seen over the last couple of days that he's been working hand in hand with Marcus Satterfield to build a game plan for these final 3 games for USC versus Wisconsin and for the Iowa game. He's not going to be calling plays. He's not going to be really in the headset at all with Dylan, but this will be his game plan. So Marcus Satterfield really won't be game playing much, if not anything, for these final 3 games. Yes, he'll be calling plays, but Dana will be the guy really pulling the strings behind the scenes. So I wanted to mention that. And really, I think that the situational awareness in the offense is going to be a lot better. I think the red zone play calling is going to improve. But I think in general, our game planning will be a lot better just because of Dana being added to this coaching staff. Marcus Satterfield, a lot of times, I thought he was just out of his league. He wasn't ready to prepare against some Big Ten defenses. And you saw that, in the Indiana game, most notably in the UCLA game. So adding a guy like Dana Holgorsen has already paid up big for this coaching staff. And I think that, a guy like Dylan Raiola, has built up a lot of confidence with a guy like Dana. He knows that, Dana's a guy who, is a veteran offensive mind, and he's really going to help out this unit. Last thing I want to mention around Dana Holgorsen, there's an increased perception around the program that he's going to be the offensive coordinator next year. Can I confirm that? No, I'm not sure. I still probably think it's going to be Glenn Thomas, but, Dana Holgorsen could be our guy next year at offensive coordinator, something that I want you guys to keep in mind. Third thing I want to talk about, we made another coaching adjustment that people really weren't talking about. Phil Snow was added as a defensive advisor to Tony White. This is a guy who was previously the defensive coordinator with Matt Rhule at Baylor and Temple. A lot of people really just haven't been talking about this compared to the Dana Holgorsen move. But I think this is just as impactful. Now, the defensive highs have been very, very high. but the lows have been super, super low. What Phil Snow is going to do for this defense is he's going to make them a lot more consistent, right? We're not going to have these low performances anymore. He's going to help out these game playing, helping out with the adjustments mid-game. And it looks like Nebraska is trying to add him as a senior analyst after this season. So I wanted to mention that about Phil Snow. And last but not least, it really just adds just insurance to have this kind of defensive mind in this coaching staff because of the fact that Tony White's probably going to leave after this year. He's going to get more head coaching opportunities if he does leave. You just add a guy like Phil Snow to this coaching staff is going to help you out when you're making that adjustment to your next defensive coordinator. Let's talk about some breakout players over the bye week, or some guys who are going to play more in these final 3 games. First guy I want to talk about is Carter Nelson. Now, Carter, in general, over the entire year, has just been not happy with the amount of playing time he's got. He wants to be on the field more, and I completely agree with him. I think Carter Nelson has been a weapon. He needs to get on the field, but the only problem with him is that he's just not big enough. He is not big enough. He can't play traditional tight end, but at this point, I'd rather put him at wide receiver than a guy like Jamal Banks, than a guy like Isaiah Nair, just because I think Carter Nelson gives you some upside with that height, with that explosiveness. But ideally, he is a tight end, right? He's not as fast as Jamal Banks. He doesn't have as good of hands, as Isaiah Nair. So there's a reason why he's not getting playing time over them. You want to put him at his traditional tight end spot, but he's just not big enough. He will start next year. That's a fact over Thomas Fidone. But Carter Nelson hasn't been happy with his production. He will play a lot more in these final 3 games. His red shirt's already burned. Nebraska tried to get him going versus UCLA. It just really didn't work out. Nothing went our way versus the Bruins. Also, Vincent Shavers expected to get a lot more playing time in the last 3 games. I think he just gives this linebacker core a lot more upside. John Bullock played well in the first half of the year, really struggled the last 3 games. Would not be surprised if he got less reps. I think, Stephon Thompson's going to get less reps. Just get Vincent Shavers in the ballgame. He's the future. I think, a lot of younger guys are just going to get more opportunities. Willis McGahee, Jalen Lloyd, guys like that, I expect to get more opportunities. So, just change it up. That's what I'm calling on the staff to do. Change up the guys who are in the game. Because we've seen these old heads. We've seen these seniors. They just aren't cutting it. They aren't winning football games. Let these younger guys get opportunities. Because what's the worst that could happen? We're losing anyways. We're losing these football games. Let these young guys get chances because they might flip the script. Number 4, I want to talk about this locker room because they were pretty defeated after UCLA. They were pretty defeated. It was a tough week for everybody. Dylan, we talked about him. A lot of the seniors were grumbling. A lot of the younger players were in disbelief because there was a lot of belief throughout the offseason that we were going to be a 9-10 win football team. So the locker room was really starting to question things. They're questioning, how good are we really? How good is this coaching staff? But I think that as the week progressed, this locker room really started to believe in themselves again. They're starting to get fired up for USC. I really do believe we have a good opportunity to beat USC. I like us as the underdogs when people don't expect anything of us. I know a lot of people are pessimistic right now and they think that we're not going to win, any of the next 3 games. I don't think that's true. I think we'll win one. At least one. Matt Rhule has to win one. He has to. But I think the locker room's starting to believe once again they'll be ready to go versus USC. They'll be ready to play. And these coaching adjustments, these coaching moves are only going to help us going forward. So, it's going to be a big week versus USC. It's a prove-it week. You got to win. This is the worst team we play in the next 3, so you got to find a way to win at the end of the day. Let's see what happens. So the locker room wasn't happy versus USC. A lot of people questioning things, or versus UCLA, excuse me. But they really turned the script as the week progressed, and I think they're ready to go. And really, they're starting to have some more optimism on the rest of the season. So, all right, guys, let me know down below your thoughts around the Nuggets, around bye week number 2 for Nebraska. Listen, guys, we only have 3 games left. Enjoy them. Enjoy the college football slate because it'll be gone before we know it. Again, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Hey, if you made this far in the video, shout out to you. Hit that like button and subscribe. And as always, folks, go be grad, go Matt Rhule, and see you in the next one.